And now, we can't really waste. We're so short of reserves in the world now. We can't afford, I consider, can't afford to throw food away. That's basic to me is a bit of a crime. But that's me, But does that answer your question?
And I will just say on a personal aside, I had Peter over for Thanksgiving, and I can personally attest to you, he can eat an impressive amount, and he will eat everything that is on the plate. It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how many people did you lose that you knew? Besides your father, was that the only person that you knew?
How many people did you personally lose during the Blitz and during the war?
My father, and also in 1939, in Easter, I had an uncle, an aunt, and a granddaughter, or daughter, cousin, came over from France. He was one of the managers for an area for Wagons List, the great transport people across Europe. And he went back to France. At the fall of Paris, he and his family were put in internment camps. And at the end of the relief of Paris and the fall of France, he came out, but his wife and my cousin disappeared. Nobody ever knew what happened to them. And in 1946, my uncle had them officially declared dead at the International Court at The Hague. So basically, then I had lots of friends whose fathers were killed during the war. But basically, that was my own personal family. That was my experience of the Second World War. Yeah. Does that answer?
Yeah. Well, was your father just around, or how did he?
Well, it was rather hard to put it, but it was like this. My father was in an area in London where a V-2 rocket landed. Now, a V-2 rocket actually had a ton of TNT in it, and so it made quite a blast. And he happened to be either in the block or walking in it or past it, and when this thing landed. And that was it. I don't know, as I said, I know that he's in a landfill somewhere. There was nothing found of him to bury. So he's with all the other stuff that they raked up afterwards. But that was my losses. But also, of course, my mother, she'd never worked, and she kind of went to pieces a little bit after that. She was never the same person. So in a way, she was kind of a victim of this thing as well. But that's me. But on the training ship, on this orphanage, most of us were there because we'd lost, relatives, fathers, mothers, and there were like 240 of us. But we were lucky because 10,000 orphans were shipped out to Australia from England, and even the living parent, if there was one, didn't know where they went, didn't know until somewhere around about 10, 12 years ago, the Australian government apologized for basically losing 10,000, orphans. So that was a very tough time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I know there's been a question back here.
Yes, my question is how did you reunite with your mother after?
Well, okay. My father received money from the government until the end of the war in Europe, which was something like the 8th of May, 1945. And shortly after that, my mother came down to school and collected me and basically told me on the way to the station to get the train that, sorry, I had to pull me out of school. but I can't afford to keep you there as we have no more money. And she basically got herself a job, which she really wasn't capable of doing, but she did. And after about a year, she turned around and said, you know, I can't afford to keep you anymore. What are we going to do about it? And I said, I haven't got a bloody clue, you know. And so we started, and eventually I went to, is there anybody from the UK here? Okay, do you ever remember a thing called the Arethusa training ship on the Shaftesbury Homes?
San Bernardino. Dr. Bernardo's.
Okay, same type of thing. That was another company. But yes, so I went to the Arethusa training ship and spent 2 years on there. And basically, I saw my mother a couple of times after that. But I contacted a cousin of mine a few years later, ran into them, and said that she was dead. So, and I don't know, you know, but I left it at that. But that was, you know, that was later. But yeah, it was it was a very awkward thing, you know, but that was all part of the aftermath, these things that happen that we have to learn and adapt and to live with. And yeah, I'm very sorry I never had a chance to say goodbye to my parents, which is kind of a sad thing. But that's it, you know. So does that answer your question?
And so it's after 2:00. This was scheduled to be an hour. I think Peter's going to hang around for a bit. If anybody else has questions or wants to meet him or talk to him, we can certainly do that. I want to finish things up with one final question, if that's okay, Peter.
Yes, certainly.
And for us Yanks in the room, and you've been living here in the United States for so long, and having all this personal experience, living through these experiences in London during the war. What do you think we can take today as the lessons learned from your perspective of having gone through these experiences? What, in this post 9/11 world, what are the lessons the United States can learn from London having survived the Blitz?
Well, basically, kind of pooling your resources and all working together. It's easy to say and very hard to do. This happened in England, you know, during the 1940s up to 1945. We're kind of all in the same boat. And so, you know, we got along quite well. But after 1945, human nature seems to be that, we like to, we're supposed to be social animals, but only up to a certain point. And once we have a chance to kind of run free, we take full advantage of it. And so basically, I'd say the only thing really that will pull us together will be living under a threat, which is not a very nice way to live. But that seems to be, our luck of the draw type thing. Yeah, that's really all that's what I think. Looking at history, the way things repeat, we have so many things of, hate over for a number of reasons. And somehow we don't seem to be able to overcome that. And so I think that's almost a question that's almost impossible to answer. Somehow we've got to educate ourselves and to come to a kind of common denominator that we've got to live in peace. Because let's face it, we can't live in a state of war now, because let's face it, we'd lose. We could lose the whole bloody human race at the snap of an eyelid. Even if we're the aggressor, or with atomic and hydrogen bombs, we could not only win the war, but we would eliminate ourselves in the process of doing it, and that's the worst thing. But basically, trying to live together in different cultures, different societies, different religions, different thoughts. We're all going to have differences. And somehow we have to be able to find a common denominator to override that. And I can't see one on the horizon at the minute. And so, but basically I try and keep my peace and try to be inoffensive as possible, and realizing that, yes, you've got to, basically somehow be able to debate and talk with and come to a mutual understanding. Life is a game of compromise. And I think that's really what we've got to learn to do more. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Thank you. My God, what a lot of people. Wow. Well, thank you all for coming. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did.